Hello, my name is Matt Williams, and I'm the Business Services Specialist at the Addison Public Library. I'm here with Susan English with the Addison Historical Museum, and we are here to talk about the Kinderheim Arch for two reasons. One is that our next roaming resources with the library is going to be held here at the Kinderheim Arch. It's going to be on Friday, July 11th from 10 a.m. to 11:30, and we have our expert here in town, Susan, who's going to give a little bit of history on the Kinderheim Arch. So, Susan, why don't we just start off by telling us the story behind the arch?
Well, the arch is made up of the eastern doorway to the Kinderheim building that was built here back in 1925. The Kinderheim came to Addison actually in 1916. It was a German Lutheran school for children who had lost maybe one or both of their parents. They actually bought the property, what used to be the Lutheran seminary on this property, and they used the seminary buildings for their new school. They had two schools, one for boys, that was the manual training school, and the industrial school for the girls. And they were trying to get them trained so that they could, once they reached age, they could get a job and support themselves. Later on, those buildings at the seminary were deteriorated because they dated back to the Civil War. Mm-hmm. So they built their new brick structure in 1925, and it was $225,000 back in 1925.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So a big deal.
Yeah. So
for many years, it housed children and gave them training so that they could go out in the world on their own.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So we kind of touched on this, but at the time, what is the significance to the Kinderheim to Addison?
Well, in the late 1990s, when actually after the Kinderheim was no longer a school, the village of Addison purchased it back in 1961 for use as the municipal building. But then by 1990, the late 90s, it was deteriorating itself. Mm-hmm. And so architect's plan for the new building did include plans for a commemorative arch to recognize the significance of the Kinderheim building. Okay. It also harkens back to also the seminary because there is also a seminary monument on the village green. Yeah. So that's when they reclaimed some of the architectural materials from the Kinderheim to create this gateway now into the village green, which used to be the gateway into the building.
Yeah, awesome. So this is a part of your historic walking tour, which is why I kind of picked this location as one of our roaming resources locations. So do you mind telling us a little bit more about the historic walking tour that you put together?
Yeah, actually, the walking tour first started during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. I was trying to find a way to reach out to people when the museum was closed. So I did research on all the historical markers. 13 of the 15 are here around Friendship Plaza. And I put them online on a platform. Unfortunately, after the pandemic, that platform went bankrupt, and so it was no longer available. Earlier this year, my supervisor, Don Weiss from the village, suggested that we print a guide of the markers. And so that project was started. We hired a consultant, Mike Scipione, and he designed and took my new photos of some of the markers to add to my research. And so that just came out this spring. Okay. And then we were also able to subscribe to an online tour app service called Q Story. And so not only do you have the printed version, but there's a QR code in here that you can scan on your phone, and it takes you right to the walking tour, and there are additional photos on the online version of the guide.
Cool.
Right now, the guide is only in English, but we have had it translated into Spanish and Polish, so hopefully those translations will soon be available.
Okay, awesome. Are there any other tidbits that you want to share about the Kinderheim?
Well, it was a big deal in Addison. You have to realize that Addison back prior to World War II was a small village. The population was 500 to 800 people. Many of that population were either children who lived at the Kinderheim or the orphanage further down the road.
Okay.
Every year they would have a festival for the orphanage and a Kinderheim picnic to help raise funds to support these important Lutheran initiatives.
Yeah.
You were more apt to hear German spoken on this property back in the day than you would have heard English.
Oh, interesting. That's so cool. Thank you so much for sharing all this information. So if you are interested in more information about the Kinderheim or any of our historical events, please visit Susan at the Historical Society. And then we also hope to see you at our next Roaming Resources if you need help with job assistance, career assistance, technology help. That's why we are roaming the town and doing Roaming Resources. Our next one will be on Friday, July 11th from 10 a.m. to 11:30 here at the Village Green and the Kinderheim Arch. So thank you so much.